How's it going? Yeah, if anybody's ever been with me before, that's unacceptable. How's it going, y'all? Yes, we're here to do good. We should be excited. Excellent. All right, well, look, I'm Damien Hooper-Campbell. Thank you very much for the introduction. Damien Hooper-Campbell, eBay's first Chief Diversity Officer. I've been with the company now for about 2 years and am having an absolute blast. So I want to dig in today and talk about the importance of being intentional about good intent. We all know that saying of the road to you-know-where is paved with good intent. So it's not enough, but I don't want to just talk about it. I want to actually give you some clear examples. So in the interest of time, let's just jump right in. So our roadmap for today is, number one, I'm going to just quickly, for anybody, as was said earlier, who hasn't been watching the news or has been under a rock, I'm going to just talk about the D&I landscape and technology. The second thing I want to do is talk a little bit about how we do it at eBay. Not necessarily saying that it's the perfect way or the right way for everyone, but it's how we do it and how it works for us so far. And then finally, I want to just lean in on being deliberate within our marketplace as we think about our buyers and sellers across the globe. So this diversity conversation is supposed to be a positive one. We've seen the research, we've seen the data. It says you've got more diverse teams, and that's awesome. That will make better outcomes, lead to innovation. Of course, we all in this room don't want to be on teams and in institutions where everyone is like us. Duh, right? But if you simply Google diversity and inclusion in technology, here's just a snippet of what comes up, which is, number one, heartbreaking for somebody like me, who's dedicated my career to this work. And number two, the sad part is that half of these headlines are true. And so what do a lot of companies do? What do a lot of organizations do in this time of quote unquote peril when it comes to diversity and inclusion in technology? A couple of things. For starters, they spend more money, okay? They throw money at the situation. As I've said before, they hire a guy like me. They say, hey, Chief Diversity Officer, you got this good. And then they wipe their hands clean. In other situations, they spend more and more money on training as a standalone, and they say, hey, unconscious bias, go through this 1.5-hour course, and you will be healed and baptized from all kinds of bias. We're all guilty of it. And in the worst case scenario, when people are scared out of their mind to say the wrong thing, call the wrong group by the wrong name, all with good intent, they say nothing, and we get nowhere. Look, I don't need to tell you all why this stuff is important. You know it, you've seen the research, but if it's still not landing for you about what D&I actually means, this isn't my saying, but I heard it and I love it, so I've adopted it. Think of diversity as simply all of us on our mobile apps getting an invitation to a dance right now, a dance party. We show up on Saturday, we're looking good, we're all in the room, standing there. Tons of diversity, but we look around and say, wait, there's only a couple of people dancing. What's going on? And so I would argue that if diversity is being invited to the dance, then inclusion is being invited to dance when you're actually at the party. And that's how we're trying to focus. So at eBay, we think about everything across diversity and inclusion in 3 simple buckets. Number one, our workforce. Who we hire and how we hire. It's not enough for us to go back to my alma mater, Morehouse College, a historically black college and university. Thank you. It's not enough for us to go there. It's not enough for me as Chief Diversity Officer to ask to own university recruiting. Because guess what? Just going out and trying to get more underrepresented minorities and women into the door isn't enough. Really good intent, but not enough. We also have to look at our processes and understand, are we structured in our processes? With all good intent, you could still fail. So we think about workforce. Then, great, so you've got a workforce full of diversity, whether that be the majority or the minority. But when they get into the building, who cares? Back to the dancing analogy, who cares if we're all at the dance party if only a couple of people are being invited to dance? And so the second bucket is our workplace. What do we do once people are there to make it inclusive? not just for underrepresented minorities and women, but for everybody in the company. And then the third piece, and this is where I want to lean in a little bit for the rest of our conversation, is our marketplace. We have over 170 million buyers from every single corner of this globe who are on our platform, and we want more. And that family and community of buyers and sellers who use eBay as a place to find their perfect, the sellers who use it as a form of economic empowerment to lift up their families, they come from every single walk of life. And so when we were founded by an immigrant in 1995, I'm not sure if Pierre knew that the business he was creating was going to be predicated on the strongest business case for diversity and inclusion in the world, but I'm glad that he did it. We serve so many people across the world, and in order for us to do that, we have to be intentional about the minds and the people who are inside of eBay. But we also have to be intentional about the way we're engaging people in our marketplace. So let me give you a couple of examples. In the UK, we are a global company. In the UK, some people said, hey, how do we drive revenue? And can we think about that intentionally with a diversity and inclusion lens? What they found through data was that, guess what? There seems to be a significant market in the UK for plus-size women's retail. But then we looked on our platform and didn't see the inventory there. So we were intentional about going out to certain sellers and saying, please sell on our platform, and even created an entire category called eBay Curve. When this first came out, this category was performing at multiples faster than the entire market there. Intentionality when it comes to diversity and inclusion in the marketplace. Diwali, celebrated for the past 5 years at eBay, the Festival of Lights. We have thousands of people inside of eBay coming and getting dressed and eating certain foods and celebrating this cultural moment. And finally, last year, it clicked. And we said, wait, is it enough to just celebrate inside of eBay? What if we actually curated certain listings related to this cultural moment and created a landing page for that in our marketplace? Again, not rocket science, but it was about people being intentional about taking it to the next level. Black History Month. Only the third year we've celebrated this at eBay. And in our third year, people said it's great to have films viewed. It's great to educate people. It's great to have a cultural celebration inside, but what if we curated certain items that were related to the Black community and made an external page in our marketplace? And we did that. During International Women's Day, we partnered up with a Black artist out of Chicago named Hebrew Brantley and featured some limited print of his painting, Darker Than the Color of My True Love's Hair. Amazing aspect about this is not only was this highlighting a person of color as an artist on our platform, not only was this donating 70% of the earnings to breast cancer research, but these sold out in 60 minutes on our platform. Being intentional in our marketplace. And the other thing that we did to be intentional was we created roles. Don't believe the hype, folks. Anybody tells you you can do diversity and inclusion without money, they're lying to you. And so some of our leaders said, we will dedicate roles to this. And so we created 2 roles. A role in the business, intentionally not on my team in diversity and inclusion, but in the business, dedicated to seller diversity and being intentional about going out to communities that we have never gone out to before. And another role also in the business, which is our very first multicultural marketing manager. Now, there are companies that have had these for years. eBay is where we are in our journey, and we're proud that we're being intentional in this way, and we just launched a national program to promote seller diversity. The last thing that I will highlight is Akron, Ohio. If anybody knows Akron, Ohio, you know that they have gone through economic ups and downs over the past few years. And so our teams looked at it, used data and research, as was talked about earlier, and went to Akron, amazing partnerships with the mayor, the Office of Economic Empowerment and Development, and lifted up over 100 businesses. We didn't ask them for anything. We simply said, use eBay as a platform, and help to get brick and mortar businesses onto our platform. Businesses that were not accessing the hundreds of millions of buyers that are here across the globe. We don't have this perfect, folks. All I'm saying is, in order to do good and to use tech for good, it gotta be more than good intent. And so as I close, 3 things I'll leave you with. Number 1, find the purpose in your work. Find it on a day-to-day basis, because this stuff is hard and it won't always go easy, so you need something to ground you. Number 2, you got it, be intentional. And number 3, understand that this is a journey. It doesn't happen overnight. As you are being intentional, recognize this is not a killer app that will change the game in one day. This happens over time, not overnight. With that, on behalf of eBay, thank you very much.